if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
Not have sexual relations with
And I realize that this is something he is
We're not going to be able to solve our problems if we get distracted by sideshows and carnival barkers.
One Republican, one Democrat, and you discuss the issues that matter in today's local, state, national, and global politics. Hosted by Steve Hickson with co-hosts John Stanberry and Franklin Chansey. This is Backfire.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of your favorite radio show, Backfire, with Franklin Chansey and, of course, myself, Steve Doball Hickson, and our chief engineer, Daniel Brown. That's right. Thank you.
Contained, Daniel.
Oh, Lord, I tell you what, there's so much nonsense going on, it's hard to talk about it, but what would you like to talk about this morning, John?
Here, I'll talk about anything.
I got a new book I'm really enjoying. It's called Witch Hunt with Greg Jarrett, the story of the greatest mass delusion in American political history. It's a pretty good read. I'm probably in the second chapter right now, but I'm reading about all the collusion that was going on within the CIA and the FBI and all these different agencies trying to make this happen.
Judicial Watch has now put in a Freedom of Information Act request to the State Department. They believe that the former ambassador to Ukraine appointed by Obama, Marie Yovanovitch, actually monitored multiple people in the press and in the political world. Apparently the following search terms were used to monitor: Biden, Giuliani, Soros, Yovanovitch, and it includes Jack Posobiec, One News Network host, Donald Trump Jr., Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Michael McFaul, Dan Bongino, Ryan Salvedra, who's a reporter at the Daily Wire, Rudy Giuliani, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, John Solomon, Executive Vice President at The Hill, Lou Dobbs, Pamela Geller, Sarah Carter, investigative reporter. Now, they haven't gotten the documents yet, but Judicial Watch has been pretty accurate when they've put in Freedom of Information Act requests.
There was a Google search of these people?
No.
Is that what you just said?
They said the government, the State Department, was monitoring them. Our government
was
monitoring private citizens.
That's what Biden was over there trying to clear up, is all that corruption they had.
One American News Network's Jack Posobiec was a former intelligence community operative, and he said, I wish I could say I was surprised, but after everything that has come out over the past few years regarding government monitoring for political purposes, I'm not. Having served in the intelligence community, I'm well aware of the restrictions of using national security assets on U.S. persons. These tools must not be used for partisan purposes, regardless of party affiliation. If true, this is a violation of the First and Fourth Amendments. That's our government. And the problem, Franklin, for you is we already know it's happened. We know James Clapper lied to Congress about it and said they weren't monitoring us. Turns out they were.
Okay.
So now, we'll see what the document, if the State Department provides documents. But you talk about, for example, you go, well, you all are in charge, why don't y'all do it? This is exactly what I'm talking about. This happened while President Trump is in office. So this is the deep state that says, we don't like this guy. We're not elected. We're not, we don't report to the people, but we're going to do what we want to do.
Except your story doesn't actually say what anybody did.
It says they were monitored, Frank.
Well, what does that mean?
It doesn't matter. Is that not a violation of the First and Fourth Amendments if our government is monitoring U.S. citizens?
It depends on what they're doing, John.
All of those
in this
people.
particular,
Sean Hannity.
In this particular case, given that everybody that you're talking about keeps appearing on Sean Hannity, maybe it's a way to figure out what's going on in the government.
You're justifying our government
I'm not
spying on U.S.
anything.
citizens. Is it right or wrong for our government to spy on U.S. citizens?
Of
right
course,
or wrong?
It's not allowed by the international authorities to do that,
Is it
John.
legal under our Constitution? First and Fourth Amendment rights? Yes or no? The government using government assets to spy on American
if the
citizens.
FBI does it, it happens all the time. Is that illegal?
Gets a warrant for it, don't they?
That's right,
The
John.
FBI gets a
So
warrant.
I don't know
Does
what
the
has
State
happened
Department
here.
have the right to get a warrant? This is
No,
the State
John, they
Department
don't.
we're talking about, Franklin.
My point is, your article doesn't say what anybody actually did. It just makes this wild assertion.
No.
What are the Democrats saying about who did what?
I'm sorry,
They're
what?
now saying that.
What are the Democrats trying to say about who did what? That's your comment. I'm going to throw it right back to you.
Witnesses testify about that.
Are you letting them be cross-examined?
I don't know. I'm not in the hearing.
If you let's be really crazy. If President Trump hired you to defend him, and I'm going to ask you, in your entire course of legal career, have you ever defended anybody that was guilty?
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to give you that out. So President Trump hires you to defend him. How are you going to feel about not being able to call your own witnesses, not being able to cross-examine them, and having all of the testimony in secret and only selectively leaked? What would you as a defense attorney say about that?
Well, first of all, this isn't a trial, John, so those rules don't apply. Number one.
So if the prosecutor, so in other words,
Number two, let me finish.
I want to know what it is.
Because he's going to
Why is it not a trial?
He's going to go down
Why
this
is it not
rabbit
a
trail
trial?
and create an impression that's not true.
Franklin, what is it?
Why isn't it a
Well,
trial?
the questioning, as I understand it, has almost all been done by lawyers, not by the committee
By
members.
Republican lawyers?
No.
By defense lawyers, Republicans?
I don't know.
No, because they
I'm
don't
not
have
in
the
there.
right, Franklin. The way you all are doing this in secret, behind closed doors, they don't have the right.
Yeah.
They don't have the right to call witnesses. They don't have the right
It's
to
not a
cross-examine.
trial, John.
Franklin, it is a trial,
No,
and you
it's
know
not.
it. All right, so if you were defending a client and the DA was holding behind closed doors hearings and then selectively leaking damaging information about your client, would you say, well, it's not a trial?
They do that all the time, John.
Okay.
Here
So they
locally in
selectively
Cleveland,
leak.
Tennessee,
Selectively
the
leak.
police go and take statements from people all the time
Franklin.
without the defendant present.
Do they leak it to the press?
I don't know. Sometimes they do.
You know good and well, if you were a defense attorney, you would be howling that this was
Okay,
a
John.
violation of
John,
all kinds of
Why
rights.
don't we just back up a minute?
Why don't y'all have a vote?
How many?
Tell me why you don't have a vote.
How many?
Why don't you have a
hearings
vote?
Did you have
It
in the
wouldn't work.
Benghazi
Why don't you
case,
have a
John?
vote, Franklin?
How many hearings did
You
you,
know
have
what,
in the
Franklin?
Benghazi case?
Those were open hearings.
No, they
to the-
weren't.
Franklin,
103
your
closed door
side,
hearings.
your side could call
103.
witnesses. Could your side call witnesses?
No.
Could they cross-examine? Yes, they could, Franklin, and they did.
103, John.
Why was this Republican
Because he's not on the committee. That's
kicked
why.
out of the impeachment hearing?
He's not on the committee.
He's on the Judiciary Committee that should be hearing this if you people were honest enough to have a vote. Tell me why you don't have a vote, Franklin.
Because we've decided it's not necessary.
No, you've decided
And
that
not
it's easier
required.
to pervert the
You ain't got the
Constitution
votes.
and pervert
That's
the
why you ain't
process.
got- you ain't
This
got
is
the
a
votes.
political operation, and you know it.
As usual, you guys
It's a
are
political
terrified
operation.
of people
Why,
testifying.
you're terrified
under
of a
oath.
vote. Why won't you have a damn
There'll
vote?
be a
Franklin?
vote, John.
Why not? Why isn't there one
There'll
now?
be a vote, John.
No, there won't. Nancy just
Well,
yesterday
there'll
said that.
ultimately be a vote, John.
Yeah, and you're going to lose. That's
Okay.
why you won't have the vote
Fine.
now. You're
Fine.
trying to smear
Then
this.
what are you worried about
because you're
then?
smearing him in a
What are
political
you
process.
worried
No,
about
no, what
then,
you're going to
John?
do.
Because I care
Well,
about
you
the
got
First
Rudy
Amendment and the Fourth
Giuliani
Amendment.
trumping around the state, around the world, conducting the foreign policy for America.
Well, whose payroll's he
Then
on?
people can
Donald
vote.
Trump's,
Then-
apparently.
Oh, well, Donald Trump got his own
people
money,
can
has
vote
he?
against
Yeah.
He doesn't have to
Whatever
use.
he
He
wants
doesn't
to
have
do.
to use Russia's money, does he?
Then people can vote against him, Franklin. That's the political process. You people are bastardizing the process for your own political
You
gain.
just made that crap up, John. You
Franklin,
show me where in the Constitution it lays out this process
in
we're
every
talking about.
previous one, they've had a vote,
many have
and
there
it's been
been,
handled
John?
there's been two
Okay.
recently.
Two.
And they held
In
it in
history.
the Judiciary Committee. No, there's been 3 in history. Actually 4, I guess, if you count the Supreme Court justice. And they were held in the judiciary
There
in
is
open
no
hearings.
such constitutional requirement. You're just making that up, and you know
I
it.
didn't say constitutional.
Well, then
I
what
said
are
you're
you arguing
bastardizing
about?
because they're. Frankly,
Impeachment is in the Constitution,
Let
John.
me put it this way then, Franklin. This is the way we end up in these arguments all the time.
Yes, you go off
you're
on
right.
stupid
no,
tangents
let me tell you
that
why.
have nothing to do
no,
with
let me tell
reality.
you why. Because there is a process that decent people hold to, and your side violates it, and no one ever thought we had to put it in the Constitution because we didn't think you people would have secret
Donald
meetings
Trump,
behind
Mr.
closed doors,
Decency.
and you would deny defense
Mr.
counsel
Decency.
from being able to call witnesses or cross-examine.
You'll be able to do whatever
as
you
a
want
lawyer,
to in
you
the trial
would not
because
stand-
who will run that?
Franklin, the
Who will
court
do
of
that,
public
John?
opinion will already be done, won't it? Because you all have already done the
Apparently
damage.
not, John, because so far they're behind closed doors.
Well, you know what, Franklin? Let me tell you how this works, okay?
Oh, you're going to tell me
Yes,
how it
I am
works,
going to
huh?
tell you how it works. It's interesting because there was an election in Louisiana on Saturday, and the Democrats lost the lieutenant governor's position, the attorney general's position, the treasurer's position, the agricultural commission, all were reelected with over in the 60% of the vote.
Okay.
Your governor, who is actually a relatively conservative Democrat, went below 50%. He lost votes from his previous turnout in 62 of 64 parishes down there.
Okay.
And he is probably going to lose the governorship. We've got two other Secretary
You
of
think
State.
that's got something
Yes,
to do
absolutely.
with what?
Here's a conservative Democrat, but he is being pulled down by the public because of the way your party is running things on a national level.
Okay.
So get ready for the next election. I guess you
getting
all
ready,
will probably
John.
try and impeach Trump on the next
I'm
reelection.
getting ready, John. I'm getting ready.
This Florida Republican, what was his name? I was just talking about.
It was kicked out?
Yeah.
I believe he's
Gates.
Gates.
The Florida Republican claimed Democrats like Schiff are doing everything they can to limit GOP access to witnesses and evidence and not allowing the minority party to issue subpoenas. If Republicans had a witness list, it would be Adam Schiff, who would be a fact witness
He is a
because
fact
of the
witness.
collusion that he and his staff were engaged in with the whistleblower when they lied about.
Except that the whistleblower's testimony keeps getting
Well,
confirmed
there is no
by the
testimony.
president's own
There is no
statement.
testimony.
His reporting made, John.
Is he going to testify?
I don't know.
No, they said he wasn't. Schiff yesterday said they don't think they're going to let him testify
Well,
because they don't need him.
why doesn't the Senate, controlled by the Republicans,
They
subpoena
probably
him then?
will.
Okay, then
And then
what
y'all
are
are
you
going to claim
complaining?
that he's targeting.
What are you
that
complaining
he's-
about then?
Well, here's in the whistleblower's complaint, it alleged that Trump asked Ukraine to, quote, locate and turn over the servers. He never said that. We now have the transcript. It claims that Trump praised a prosecutor
Actually, we don't have the
named
transcript.
Lieutenant
No,
Scope
we don't have
and
the transcript.
suggested
And quit saying we
Franklin,
did.
we do.
No,
Unless
we don't,
So
John.
now you're going down the conspiracy rabbit hole that they gave you in
I'm
a
simply
false...
pointing out a fact.
Franklin, did they turn
Is
over...
this a transcript or not, John? Is it?
Yes, it
Because
is,
the
Franklin.
president has said that there were stenographers there taking down every word that's said. This thing is not a
So
transcript.
you're saying they've altered it? Is that
I
what you're
didn't say
saying?
that at all.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
just saying I don't have a way of knowing
All right,
that.
so one way would be to cross-examine witnesses,
No,
which
one
we
way
don't have
would
the
be
right.
to release the actual transcript. That's one way
He
to do
did
it.
release it.
No, he
See,
didn't.
That's the kind of crap
He
you're doing.
released a summary of
He
it.
released it, Franklin. And in other words, it said that Trump praised the prosecutor, Lusensko, and suggested, quote, Ukrainian president keep him in his position. That didn't happen either. He never threatened to withhold the aid as a condition of the investigation. He doesn't even mention money in the talk. And the press then says, oh, well, it was implicit. However, the problem with implicit is the Ukrainians say they had no knowledge the aid was withheld until a month after the call. The aid was released despite no investigation or dirt from Ukraine.
Except there were
And
all
Mr.
kinds of
the president
Americans,
of Ukraine
including
has-
congressmen
the-
on Republican
the
and Democrat side, asking all kinds of questions about why this money's
the
not being
president
sent.
of the Ukraine has twice said there was, quote, no pressure, no blackmail from the U.S. regards to the investigation. So you have the victim saying it didn't happen. You have the testimony saying it did, the transcript saying it didn't happen. You've got multiple things in the complaint that are proved false, and yet y'all are
you
still
haven't got
behind
multiple
closed doors
things
going
proven
down
false.
this.
Don't forget about the last 3 years worth of investigation against Trump that came out negative with nothing behind it.
Kurt Volker in his opening statement said, quote, as you will see from the extensive text messages I am providing, Vice President Biden was never a topic of discussion during negotiations. So, Franklin, why
How
is
about the text
why is it
message from
Volker's
the-
testimony released
How about the
in total?
I don't know. Maybe it will be.
No, Adam Schiff
Some of it may
refuses
be.
to.
Some of
Why
it may
aren't
be
they releasing
classified.
all of it?
I don't know.
It's not, Franklin.
Okay.
You people are running a shadow
Really?
government.
Really? The president who's telling people not to show up and testify?
Yes, because it's not an official inquiry, is it?
Doesn't
Is
matter.
it? No, yes, it
They
does.
can still
Now, see,
issue
think what you're
subpoenas.
saying.
They
You're
can
saying-
still issue subpoenas, John.
You're saying that your side could force people to do it even though they're not actually doing it the way it ought to be done. They're not doing it in the Judiciary Committee. They're not
You
doing
can
it the way
say
Watergate
whatever
was done.
you want
They're not
to this
doing it the way
crook, John.
Monica Lewinsky's was done. They're doing it a
I
bullshit way.
I'm going to repeat. Benghazi, 103 closed-door hearings. Only one person had the testosterone to show up and testify in person. Who was that? Hillary Clinton. For 10 hours.
What did she
testified.
talk about?
Every question they asked her.
And what were their tough questions they asked? Give me the hardest one they asked.
You mean the Republicans who were leading the hearing?
Both
You
of
mean
them.
they got to ask questions? Because we
Yeah,
don't.
they did.
We don't in this, Franklin. I'm glad you made that comparison.
Only
'Cause we
one
don't
showed
get to
up and
ask,
answered
Franklin,
and held up their
we
hands.
don't get to ask questions now under Schiff, do we?
I don't know.
No, we don't.
I don't know.
Because it's not an official, and he won't allow it. And he won't allow us to call witnesses. Could your side call
Why would
witnesses? Could your side call witnesses in Benghazi? Absolutely, they could. Because we gave you all the kinds
Did
of
they?
rights that you should have in a legal proceeding like this, which you all are denying us.
All outside.
If you had such a damn good case, you wouldn't be scared of the...
We got
of
a
the-
pretty good
then
case
you
so
wouldn't
far
be-
on
then
the
you would-
president's own words,
Franklin,
John.
then you wouldn't be
What
scared
did he
of
say?
cross-examination.
What did he
Made
say?
it pretty clear
Well,
what was going on.
tell me what he said. Tell me. I want it from
Mr.
your
Mr.
version.
President, we're ready to buy those missiles now. Well, I need a favor from you.
I
What
need
do you
a fa-
think
did
he's
he
talking
say,
about?
Did he say I
He
need a
didn't say I
favor?
need
He
a favor.
did not
Yeah,
say
he
that.
did.
Franklin, he did not.
Yeah, he did.
That is a CNN bullshit lie.
Read the darn transcript,
Oh,
Steve.
crap. It doesn't say that, Franklin. If something came out of your mouth, and I don't know where you got it from.
His own
I tell you
words,
what,
Steve. His own words.
You show
How
it to
about
me.
all those Republicans who say what he said was wrong?
How about you show it to me, Franklin?
Okay.
I
Franklin,
want you to
if
show it to me before
Okay.
we leave
if
here
Schiff cooperated with the whistleblower before the complaint was filed, does that make him a fact witness in the
No.
case? Oh, so you would be okay. So
you're
you
saying,
would be
you're saying
okay.
if the police talk to a witness beforehand?
It's not the police, it's the prosecutor.
No, he's
This is
not
not
the
the police.
prosecutor.
He is the prosecutor. You all have made him. It ought to be Jerry Nadler, you're right. But you all have made
What
him.
happened to Nadler,
By the way,
by the way?
he hired 2 aides who worked with the whistleblower. One of them didn't leave until the whistleblower filed the complaint. So both of these people, one of them has been accused of leaking stuff previous, which was why they were removed from the White House. The other one was actually implicated in the email documents. Huma Abedin sent classified information regarding foreign military contributions to the Afghanistan war effort to her private email account. That email originated with Misko, who is now an aide for Adam Schiff. Misko wrote to Sullivan that, quote, he initially accidentally sent it on the high side, secure, but was sending the email again on unsecured. So this guy that Schiff has now hired was implicated in the email scandal.
Okay. So to answer your question, Steve, I'll read it to you directly.
Please.
From the transcript. This is the president of Ukraine talking here.
All right, now, read the whole part.
You want the whole thing read?
I think you're going to have to if
Yes.
you want to get the meaning of
This
what
is the president. Yes, you are absolutely right. Not only 100%, but actually 1,000%.
About
And I
what?
could-
Wait a minute. What was he right about?
Okay, do you want me to read the whole transcript? Because it's going to take 20 minutes, but
Frank,
I'll do it if you want me
he
to.
said I
You've
need a
got
favor.
you've got to say things the way they're written. You can't just say, this is a Donald Schiff piece you're trying to read.
No, an exact quote, Steve. A quote from the transcript the president released.
All right. Go ahead and
So
say
it is a
Just-
transcript.
Huh?
So it is a transcript.
No, it's a summary.
You just said it was a transcript.
Well, that's what the president calls it.
But he did give it to him voluntarily, right?
Here's,
Did he give it to him voluntarily?
Read it, because he said I need a favor. Did he ask for dirt?
Let me
Did he ask for
finish.
dirt?
All the
Can I
Democrats
finish?
said he did.
Dang.
All the
I just
Democrats said he did.
agreed with you. He did say the word favor. But did he say Joe
Dirt.
Biden in that sentence? Did he say dirt? What did he ask the favor for? What did he ask for, Franklin?
He
Go ahead.
wants the investigation
Of what?
to take place.
Corruption.
That's what he
He
said.
said corruption.
But then everybody
Oh,
who's
so-
doing his bidding for him is over there
Oh,
being
so you
clear.
know.
They want investigations of Biden.
You mean like when they said you can keep your insurance if you want to, and all
There
the
you
people
go,
were in the
John.
background
Nice
going,
segue from
no,
what's
Franklin,
clear here.
here's what I'm telling you, and I told you this last week.
Translation, I was ready to read exactly what the president said, but they clearly don't want
Go
those
ahead.
words on
Well,
the
you
radio.
couldn't seem
Go
to be
ahead.
able to spit it out.
Go ahead.
Spit it out.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay. All right, let me get to the part again.
Okay.
Okay. This is the
I need a
Ukrainian
I
president.
need a favor.
We are ready to continue to cooperate for the next steps. Specifically, we're almost ready to buy more javelins, those are missiles,
Right.
from the United States for defense purposes. President Trump responds his very first words, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine.
Well,
They say crowd strike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people, the server. They say Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on, the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. I would like to have the Attorney General call you or your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what law is
As
that
you saw,
violating?
What's wrong with
What
that?
law is that violating,
Because
Franklin?
we have all these
What
witnesses,
high crime and
including
misdemeanor
Ukraine
is
showing
that
up,
violating?
including Giuliani showing up
What
saying
high crime and misdemeanor is that violating?
using the resources of
No,
the United
Franklin.
States
Wait a minute,
government
wait a
and
minute.
tying
For corruption?
aid to investigate
What did
it.
Biden withhold the money for? What did Biden withhold the money
Who did
for?
clear Hillary? Why did she do the dossier? She paid for it, right? Did Hillary pay for it?
No.
The
Oh,
DNC paid for it.
Well, that's a different question, wasn't
She
it?
was the DNC, Franklin, and you know
Okay.
it.
The DNC pay for it, Franklin? Where did it take place?
Where did it take
Yeah,
place?
where was the biggest part of the dossier? What was the issues there? Russia?
Yeah.
Well,
Ukraine?
actually, you all were trying to hook the Ukraine and Paul Manafort
But guess what?
together.
The DNC's not the government.
Oh, who are they then?
Franklin, Donald Trump wasn't the government either, and y'all
I'm glad
spent
you
2
said the
years
DNC
and
was
$22 million investigating it,
Fortunately,
didn't
there
you?
are a few
Was
Republicans
Donald
who
Trump the
still have a
governor?
spine,
Was Donald
and who
Trump the
pointed out
governor?
very clearly what the president
Franklin,
did was wrong.
Donald Trump the governor or the government?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
When he was the president of the United States,
when
he
you
was
all
wrong.
were investigating secretly a U.S. citizen, was he the government? Was he the government? No, he wasn't. And then you spent 22 months and $30-something million investigating again and found nothing.
Did you happen to read
Look,
the
you all have
Senate's
been
report
trying
last
to.
week,
You all
John?
have been
Did
trying.
you read that one?
No, I didn't, Franklin.
Who controls the Senate, John?
Lindsey
Which
Graham.
party?
Well, the Republicans.
Lindsey Graham controls the Senate?
In the committee that will hear this.
Richard
in
Burr. Who controls that?
Franklin, Lindsey Graham will control the committee
That's
that
not
will
what we're talking
investigate
about,
this.
John. I'm talking about the report that the Senate issued last week. Did you even bother to read it?
No, I didn't,
The one,
Franklin.
that's the one that's controlled by Republicans,
Right.
What was their conclusion
read it,
about
Franklin.
the Russia hoax?
I didn't read it.
Oh, that's because you don't care about truth.
What
No,
did it say?
Franklin,
You
here's
shared
what I
with
don't
us.
care
It
about.
said there was 100% confirmation of the fact that Russia intervened in the
No
election.
one ever said
Hold
there
on, let me
wasn't.
finish, John.
Did it say
And
Trump
it
was
said,
involved?
and it said they intervened to help.
Did it
Donald
say Trump was
and to
involved?
hurt Hillary Clinton.
Did it say Trump was involved in any way, shape, or form? No.
No.
Franklin, no one's ever said the Russia. You know what? We intervened in the Israeli elections.
Yeah.
We intervened in elections all over the world. I don't particularly like that either.
Sure.
Did we? Did Barack Obama send or about $350,000 to a rival party of Bibi Netanyahu?
Yes. Say yes. Let's move on.
Yes, yes, he did, Franklin. He did.
Yes,
He funneled it through a little side channel and claimed it wasn't directly in opposition, but it went to a group that was the leading group against Netanyahu.
Franklin, let me ask you a
You are
civil
drowning.
No, I'm not,
question.
Franklin.
Let me ask you a civil question here. Should Adam Schiff continue to carry on his kangaroo court, or should they go ahead and have a vote and let's do this the way
What would
America?
that have to do with
You know,
it? What would
I
that
want-
have to do with
I
whether
want-
Adam Schiff's
I want-
involved?
Because
I want
he's-
America to see what's going on.
Did
I
he
want
lie
to vote,
about
and I
Well,
want
wouldn't
to
that
see this
require them
publicly.
to cooperate then?
Franklin, did
for
he
them
lie?
to see what's going on?
Did he lie about communication with the whistleblower?
Oh,
Adam
he
Schiff.
certainly he misstated what
He
he did
lied.
there.
Now he's
He
the
lied.
guy leading this, but you're going to absolve him of lying.
I'm not
And
absolving anybody.
then why didn't he turn
The
it over to Jerry
whistleblower came
Nadler?
forward to
Why
other
didn't, no, he
people,
didn't
too.
come forward.
Yeah, he did.
He hadn't come forward at all. Has any of the Republicans
There is
been
a
able to
law
talk to him?
that's set up that he
Have the
followed.
Republicans been able to talk to him?
I don't know.
No. Have they been able to cross-examine any of the witnesses so far? No. Now, you know, as an attorney, I can't believe you're going to sit here and say that this is appropriate.
How do you feel this court's being handled?
It's not a court. It's
What
not
is
a trial.
All right, what
That's
is
the
It's a
first
trial, and
thing
you
that's
know it,
wrong with
Franklin.
this.
From all basic principles, it is, and you know it. If this was happening to a client of yours, you'd be through the roof over it. But because you
Every
personally hate
single
Donald
day.
Trump,
No, John,
you don't care.
Have you ever heard of a grand jury? You ever heard of that?
Grand juries are secret, Franklin.
That's right, John. And guess what? Defendants don't get to cross-examine people in them either.
Franklin.
That's exactly
No,
right.
don't have-
That is
no.
a perfect example.
So you're saying
John.
that you're saying that
Schiff.
the the impeachment of Clinton, the impeachment of Nixon were all handled incorrectly. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying.
So they all were handled completely differently, but you think this is okay to do this different?
Actually, John, if you'll recall, if you paid attention back then, almost all of the questioning that was done in the Nixon hearings were done by lawyers, not by
Republican lawyers. Fred Thompson was actually the one that asked,
Some of them-
what did the president know and when did he know it, Franklin?
That's right.
Well, we're not being allowed to do that. Your people have shut us out, and it is a farce of a legal proceeding.
Okay.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Yeah, you looking for something sweet? I know you are. Bring your little sweet self to the Village Bake Shop. Around since 1961, there ain't a baked good in the galaxy the Village Bake Shop can't whip up for you. So when you're ready to treat your mouth till the taste you won't soon forget, get over to the Village Bake Shop in the Village Green Town Center, or give them a call at 476-5179. You dig?
Attention, Cleveland area creditors. Are you tired of dealing with debtors that owe you money? I'm Jeff Renfro, and I've owned and operated Financial Recovery, a debt recovery specialist here in my hometown of Cleveland for 18 years. We're a licensed and bonded Tennessee collection agency working for a wide variety of creditors, from commercial, manufacturing, physicians, dentists, attorneys, small business owners, to individuals. Look, any kind of business dealing with billing, charge accounts, or even return checks. I know your past due accounts are not a top priority for you, but they would be to me. Let me try to make it easy for you to make a change in the way you've been handling your accounts. There's no contract and no cost to you in most cases, as our fee of only 30% can be added to the balance owed to you. So, whether you have hundreds of accounts monthly and need help with your billing and collection, or you're just an individual and somebody owes you money, let me help you. Give me a call at 400-5376 and I'll come by and see you. That's 400-5376. Financial Recovery, a licensed and bonded collection agency in Cleveland, Tennessee. 400-5376.
No dealers allowed.
Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933, offering the best with over 70 styles of recliners, sofas, electronic lift chairs, full living room packages. Call Mike now at 961-7239 because Jackson Catnapper now offers sales to the public
every Saturday. That's right, every Saturday.
From 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Or call Mike at 961-7239. Or go see him
every Saturday
at 1911 King Edward Avenue, just across from the main plant. Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933. 961-7239.
No dealers allowed.
Dr. Christopher Chase, with Associates in Plastic Surgery, now offers his patients the convenience of a Cleveland office at 2350 North Ocoee Street. Dr. Chase specializes for the ladies in breast augmentation, including lifts, reconstructions, and reductions. Also tummy tucks or mommy makeovers, and facial rejuvenation, including facelifts, eyelids, brows, nose, and he also offers Botox procedures. Check out Dr. Christopher Chase. He is certified by the American Board of Surgery, the American Board of Plastic Surgery. He's a member of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons and the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Check their website out at aprs.md. That's aprs.md. Call for your convenient appointment in Cleveland at 624-0021. 624-0021. 2350 North Ocoee. That's Dr. Christopher Chase. Our friends at Economy Rentals say, it's fall and time for football, y'all. Economy Rentals, where we make it easy to own, Cleveland's oldest and family-owned rent-to-own store with everything you need, from appliances, furniture, electronics, TVs, and more. We always have the 2 rooms of furniture for only $39.95 a week. A washer and dryer combo, only $21.95 a week. Hey, call them up, 472-6105, or go see them at 901 Sahara Drive. That's 472-6105 or 901 Sahara Drive, economyrentals.net, and on Facebook. Don't forget, free delivery, 90 days, same as cash. Check them out. Woo, it's football time.
Hello, my name is Andy Figglestaller with Ed Jacobs & Associates. We are an employee benefit and insurance broker in business for the past 20 years. The new healthcare law, also known as Obamacare, has finally arrived. The law is complex and the choices are confusing. You have questions, we have the answers. It is our passion to find cost-effective solutions for every client. The solutions will be different for every person or business. Let our knowledge, experience, and passion go to work for you. Contact us today and let us assist you through this process. Our phone number is 423-473-0202, or you can find us on the web at edjacobs.com.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson on Whoop FM. Call 423-614-5553 to join in on the conversation. Now, back to Backfire.
Well, we're back, and I guess we could bring up the NBA basketball program and what's going on with them right now. Franklin, you want to give us any insight on the NBA basketball? Are you keeping up with that at all?
Well, one NBA general manager criticized the Chinese government's crackdown in Hong Kong.
He didn't actually even, I'm not interrupting, all he tweeted was a little symbol, and it was a support Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. He didn't even criticize, just support Hong Kong.
The Chinese were supposedly offended by that, took some steps against the NBA. The NBA capitulated. And the whole thing's getting more attention than it deserves.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not getting enough attention, Franklin.
Well, here's what I would say about it, John. I completely support the protesters in Hong Kong. I think the NBA is wrong not to support them. On the other hand, frankly, I just think it's kind of hollow, the Republican criticisms of them. And the reason for that is because you guys are supposedly all about the free market, and they're responding to a market.
Franklin, let me see if I got this straight.
I think you were wrong.
So the NBA, people like LeBron James, regularly criticize the president, criticize conservatives. They're all woke. They're for the LGBTQ community. Sure. They're for every woke, liberal, social policy they can have. But then when their actual pocketbook is involved and people are lit, let me read you what the Chinese president said just yesterday.
I'm not defending that. I agree with you on that point.
He said that anybody who tries to split China will have their bodies smashed and bones ground to powder. Mm-hmm. So you good liberals who can call every conservative media person, every politician, every Hollywood person, you can smear them, you can run them out of restaurants, you can say they're horrible people, but people are literally being threatened with smashed and bones ground to powder, and you all go, well, you know, it's their business.
Actually, that's not what I said at all. I didn't say that.
The NBA,
I just said the NBA is wrong.
The NBA has been on top of every social issue in the United States. It's the same thing with Apple.
Transgender bathrooms in North Carolina.
In each one of those circumstances you're talking about, John, each one of them, for the large part, the NBA was voting where their money comes from. That's what they're doing.
No, they were playing.
I personally think they're wrong about that.
I'm woke. It was social justice.
As I said, that's their audience. That's their audience.
No, Franklin, there's 50% of the audience out here that's not that. They're choosing half of their audience.
I would say a much higher percentage of the NBA's audience is not
good old boys that are back there watching sports. What happened to the NFL when they chose the liberal position?
As I said,
attendance plummeted.
As I said, John, they have different audiences in large part. And then in that particular case, I think they're voting their pocketbooks. Now, I don't agree with them. Let me finish.
Their principles are for sale.
I don't agree with them about that.
So their principles are for sale.
You know what, John? I think that would be a fair statement to say.
Good.
But guess what? This is the reason I just kind of laugh at your outrage, because you're the free market guy. And all they're doing is responding to where they see their
Look,
market.
Franklin, I can see the free market angle of this, but you know what? Companies used to be American, or they were
That's
Russian.
right, Johnny.
Or
They used to say, we're willing to have a little bit less profit to invest in this community and pay our local workers more money.
Well,
but
you
now
know
they're
what?
not willing to do that.
No, you're wrong. The government forced them to
But
do
you're
it like
all for
Target,
free market
and now
then.
people are actually losing money because of the government interfering in the market. They were paying them more
Clearly,
money. Walmart moved people off minimum wage in less than 6 months on average. But your people had to come in and intervene.
Clearly, American corporations are
Apple
just being
Corporation,
repressed.
Franklin, refused to work with the Department of Defense because their, quote, employees didn't want to help the warmongers in our country. But they are actually working with the Chinese government's defense military. So Apple Computer chose yes to work with the Chinese military, no to work with the Chinese military that's holding millions of Muslims in concentration camps right now as we speak. Where's the NBA feel about that?
As I said, John, I'm opposed to those sorts of things. But I think it's what happens when you say, oh my God, it's just the market.
Franklin.
That's all they're doing is chasing dollars as if all that matters.
That's not the point,
Yeah, it
actually.
is the point.
No, it's
That's
not.
exactly
Let me
the
tell you
point.
the point is. If all they were doing was chasing dollars, it'd be a one-day event. You're right. But home here, they don't do that. Here, they cram social justice crap down American citizens' throat, and over there, they capitulate. That's the hypocrisy problem. It's not that they're following the market. Look, Boston Celtics center, I don't know, Enes Kanter, a Turkish-born basketball star, he actually quoted or texted, "Wow, dude," an emoticon depicting a nauseous person. So Kanter is a long-standing feud with the Turkish president. He is currently exiled from his home country. He's critical of Erdogan. His family has been jailed. He cannot leave America because of threats against his life. And Turkey has issued an international arrest warrant demanding his return to Turkey. It's so bad that the FBI has installed a panic button at his home due to security issues. That's someone that understands a totalitarian regime.
Oh, then.
And he was shot.
Then, by golly, let's give Turkey what they want.
Actually, we're placing sanctions on.
Now
Turkey
we
as
are.
speak.
After the horse is out of the barn.
Franklin, what did your people on the debate stage say?
You know why?
We can't be in these endless wars.
You know
We
why?
weren't in
Do
an
you know
endless
why
war.
Turkey invaded? You know what? Have you read about that? Why Turkey's invading them?
Because they've had a 200-year-long dispute with the Kurds over that territory there. That's why.
Over your impeachment trial, they thought it was a good time to start this. Since you've got all this impeachment
They wouldn't have started it at all, but for a 15-minute phone call, which led to a precipitous decision that didn't even get run by the people in the military.
Well, let's talk about CNN a few minutes.
Okay, let's talk about
It's
CNN.
not a
First
neutral
off,
referee.
Let me clarify
It's
one
an
thing,
advocate.
Franklin. That's an incredibly complicated situation over there. The Kurds.
But I agree.
The Kurds,
I agree with
the
you,
Kurds
John.
that are in
and so
Syria.
by all means, we should do
The
it on an impulse in a
Kurds
15-minute
in
phone
Syria
call. Definitely.
are not the same Kurds that are in Iraq. They actually hate each other. The Kurds that we were giving this support to are actually, our own State Department lists them as a terrorist organization. Now, basically, and I don't agree with this decision, to be honest, Franklin, but Trump ran and told people, I will pull our guys out of these overseas entanglements, and he's doing it. And several people on the stage last night at your debate actually said they agreed, and they would have done it too. Of course, they found a way to criticize him at the same time, but they agreed that we can't be in these wars, and they'd pull people back as well. Tulsi Gabbard actually directly called out CNN and the New York Times for smearing her as a Russian asset or an asset of Syria's Assad.
Well, all of her statements seem to favor him. That's the reason why she's getting 1% in the polls.
No, she's getting 1% in the polls because she's not a socialist.
CNN is holding the debate when it's not a neutral referee. It's an advocate of the most radical leftist politics.
What?
The Project
Veritas
videos are showing CNN for what it has become. What happened with the videos? I didn't see them.
It's just more undercover videos where they had an insider that was frustrated with the bias that he saw on CNN, and so he wore a wire for a few months, and he recorded top people showing their bias. You know, they've got Zucker actually saying, I don't want to cover anything else. I want you to push the impeachment stories. And we know now CNN actually stacked the deck for Elizabeth Warren in this LGBT forum they had last week. They had a question that ended up generating a viral video moment for Elizabeth Warren, and it turns out the guy that asked the question is a maxed out donor to Elizabeth Warren. Big money donor. So it was a setup.
Franklin, what do you think about CNN?
What do I think about CNN?
Well, since these tapes came out and they're them trying to be so one-sided.
I think they're like every other news organization. You have to sift through them carefully to figure out what's valid and what's not.
So that is what that CNN is Communist News Network. They don't tell the truth. They spread them.
Like every other news network, there are good journalists and bad journalists.
Where's the beef?
It's the whole network's the problem, Franklin.
Yeah, you're right. ABC, CBS, all of them. The Democratic debates were last night.
Well, Anderson Cooper, in one of his questions to Joe Biden, said that President Donald Trump had falsely accused him of corruption. You can't say falsely, Franklin. That's not an objective statement in any way, shape, or form. He could say he's accused you. You know, how do you respond? But to say falsely means that Anderson Cooper predicated the whole statement on the fact that it was false.
There's no evidence that I've seen yet.
There's no evidence that Trump did anything either. But you all are running this circus sideshow.
Actually, yes, John, there now is evidence.
No, there's not.
What's the difference?
Not to look at any.
What's the difference in Trump's son running businesses in Ukraine or Russia versus Biden's son being on the board?
First of all, let's get this straight.
Biden was over there and telling them to push more natural gas too, right before his son got on this gas.
Let me be clear about this. Did Hunter Biden traffic on his father's position and name? Absolutely.
Yeah. How did he get on the plane?
Let me finish. Okay.
On a business
Should he
trip.
be able to do that? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Okay. So let's be clear about that.
I'm proud of you for
I do
agreeing to
think
that.
the same standard applies to the Trump kids, who are clearly doing the same thing.
Franklin, the difference is the Trump kids were already in business. Hunter Biden wasn't.
No, he was
Biden
already a lawyer.
Biden's only business, Vice President Biden's only business is government.
Here's the big difference. The Trump kids are in the dang White House actually working in the government.
Any successful businessman then should just dump his entire career if he wants to serve in government.
Well, that's
is that what you're saying?
What they have done. They put it in a blind trust.
And which he did.
No, he didn't.
He has stepped out of it completely, Franklin.
It's not blind.
By the way,
which
Biden do we believe? Do we believe Vice President Biden, who said he never spoke to his son about his business, or do we believe Hunter Biden, who said I spoke to my dad about my business?
John, I just told you
Franklin,
that I don't agree with what Hunter Biden did.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, it is.
Both of them are on record with diametrically opposed statements. Which do we believe? Is Hunter Biden lying, or is Vice President Biden lying?
Have to sort that one out on their own.
Well, should we have an investigation?
Does that not bother you?
Should we have an
I
investigation?
just told you, John.
No.
If you were listening, not your strong point, I get.
And I'm not stupid, Franklin. I'm not talking about the same thing. I'm asking about lying. I'm not asking about the corruption. I'm asking you about lying.
I am perfectly okay with holding any
Which one's
politician
lying?
accountable for lying.
The son or the father?
You
Which
tell
one's
me,
lying?
John. People have to decide that for themselves, won't they?
Could we have an investigation? You'd be all right with it?
I don't care that people get investigated, John, Steve, but I do care if the president's asking foreign governments to do it for him. If the president's holding up aid to get them to do it.
The transcript of that we've read. Bill Clinton leaned over to Tony Blair. Actually, I believe it was in an open statement, and said, hey, I read it to you last week. Obviously, you're not paying attention. But he said, hey, we're having trouble with this British Airway thing. It's quite a big thing over here. It would help us if you could fix that for us going into this election. Which is exactly the same thing. Now, here's the difference between me and you, Franklin. I understand that he asked Tony Blair to fix a political problem in England because it had ramifications in America for his political party.
Political opponent.
No, it's not, Franklin. If the Bidens were corrupt, asking them to find out if there's corruption is not a wrong. Actually, it's a good thing.
First of all, there is no evidence of that, number one. Number two.
So you're saying $50,000 a month?
No, what I'm saying to you is that it was unquestionably not even subject to debate that the official policy of the United States government was that prosecutor needed to be removed.
You mean when Joe Biden said, bragged on, I told them, by God, I'm not giving you the money.
It was the official policy of all of our allies that prosecutor needed to be removed.
Why were they trying to get rid of him?
Because he was not investigating corruption.
So President Trump
and guess what else?
And says, I want you to investigate corruption, and now you're against it.
And when they moved that prosecutor and replaced him, that prosecutor then began investigating the very company
Franklin,
that Biden's son was working for. So the result is they got investigated more because of what he did.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying is when the Obama administration, through Joe Biden, pressured the Ukraine to investigate corruption, it was a good thing. But when Trump pressured Ukraine to investigate corruption, it was a bad thing. Is that what you're saying? He did. He said corruption. He did. Corruption.
He did say corruption.
So in other words, good for the goose, bad for the gander.
Really? His statement on here in the transcript that he wants them looking for Hillary Clinton's server?
Franklin, you mean like
corruption?
You mean like yes, it is corruption.
You guys have lost your
Franklin,
freaking minds.
What did Obama mean when he said, tell Putin that I'll have more flexibility after the election while they were negotiating treaties? What did he mean by that?
He meant something completely dishonest, John.
Did we try to impeach him over that?
He didn't ask Vladimir Putin to investigate Donald Trump.
No, what he asked him to do is to basically BS on a treaty that involved nuclear security to help him in the election. So that is
ask Vladimir Putin to investigate Donald Trump.
Franklin, you're missing the point. You all are predicated on the idea that request had value in the presidential election. Obama's request had value in his presidential election. My argument back to you is I criticized Obama for saying it, but I wouldn't have persecuted him for it because it's within the bounds of what presidents do. The same way this is within the bounds.
I thought the conversation that Donald Trump had with the new president of Ukraine was right on. I thought it was great. As Donald Trump said, perfect. It was probably
Franklin,
perfect.
Does any success,
I thought it was a great conversation. And most of America thinks it's a great conversation also.
We're in the middle of a foreign policy disaster right now. And you guys
Franklin, does any foreign policy success have value in the election?
Presumably.
Then any request.
But actually, no.
Actually, it does, Franklin. That's what the judge predicated you all's investigation on. That FEC said, that investigation, if it turned up dirt, would have had value to the campaign. Therefore, it's a campaign finance violation. So I'm asking you, is any success in a foreign policy situation of campaign value in a re-election?
Certainly most of them.
Then any request any president ever made of any foreign leader could be said to be a violation of campaign finance, correct?
No.
Why not? You just said that any success...
Because the president's job is to conduct foreign policy most of the time for the benefit of the country.
Right, but if he asks for help and it ends up being a success, that's what y'all are predicating this whole thing
for Hillary Clinton's server...
Frankly, let me ask you a question. If her server turns up to be in the Ukraine,
30,000 emails
if it turns up to be in Ukraine, Franklin, is that a good thing? Is that legal?
Amazing.
No, we're not, Franklin.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
you totally lost it.
Well, wait a minute. If she's got 30,000 emails gone and we found them, how would you look at that?
You could have a legitimate debate about whether what Donald Trump did rises to a level that merits impeachment. That's an actual debate. Trying to justify that is nuts.
Well, Franklin, would a debate work very well if one side was gagged?
They're not gagged.
Yes, they are.
And number two,
can they cross-examine? Can they call witnesses? No, they can't.
The Republicans in the committee are getting to ask questions.
Can they call witnesses?
They are getting. No, not yet.
They don't even have access to all the data.
That's because the government won't turn it over.
No, I'm not saying that data. I'm talking about the data Schiff has. He won't. No, he won't.
What are you talking about? What data?
Franklin, he has collected evidence and he won't release it to the Republicans.
Okay.
And he won't. Why won't Volker's full statement? Why wasn't it put out? I don't care about redactions. He didn't put redactions out.
John,
he put cherry picks.
The Republicans in the committee heard the full statement.
Yes, but why didn't Schiff make it public to the people?
Didn't they?
Nancy Pelosi's on record in earlier saying that an impeachment has to be bipartisan and it has to be supported by the public. Mm-hmm. So why isn't the public getting all this information that Schiff is collecting?
Because right now
no, because
they're still
it's
investigating.
Court,
they're investigating.
Why don't they have a vote to do this?
It's not required under the Constitution.
Well, it's not required. It's just being one-sided. How's it been done the last time?
Is that a political decision to not have the vote?
Oh, sure.
Then that's the problem. This whole thing is political.
Absolutely.
The whole thing is political. It's not judicial. It's not legal. It's political.
And Schiff is just, he's running a kangaroo court. That's all he's doing. Yeah. Let me say this, though, Franklin. It's probably good that y'all are doing this because right now the polls are going crazy with Trump.
That's what happened in Louisiana.
Are you talking about Fox News is reporting that more than
what was the weighting?
You hadn't looked like
Fox News,
Franklin,
Steve. This week.
What was the weight? What was the weight of the poll? The percentage weight breakdown. You want to know?
51% of the people in the poll.
Hold on,
let me finish.
You know what I'm asking? What was the demographic weighting in the poll?
I don't know.
I can tell you. Want to know?
But I knew it was the Fox poll.
Do you want to know?
Yeah,
I'll tell you. The weighting was, this is not exact, but close. It was about 48% Democrat. It was about 37 or 8% Republican, and about 11% independents. You know what the actual breakdown in the population is? The independents are actually up to 30 or 34%. The independents, when they polled them, their breakdown was overwhelmingly against the impeachment. So the weight of that poll determined those numbers.
John, what you're missing is
I'm not missing.
More than 50% supported additional investigation.
Franklin, that poll was weighted to give the answer.
Why did Fox News do that?
I don't know why they did it. I don't know why.
Fox News is liberal. Their family's starting to take.
I don't know why.
They got kids that are liberal. Fox News is not what it used to be.
That's right. That's because they don't just do whatever Donald tells them.
You all lived with the polls in the last election. Go with them this time.
Yeah, I want you to support
for the most part proved to be accurate.
Except
the percentages nationwide were right.
Hard question. I'm going to ask you real quick. You just saw another Democratic debate last night. Who's your leader in the Democratic Party right now?
You mean who I think's winning, or who did well in the debate?
No, who do you think is winning?
I think Elizabeth Warren's winning right now.
Okay.
Who did well in the debate? I thought that Buttigieg had the best night by far.
He's positioning himself as the pickup man if Biden collapses.
How do you think Warren is going to pay for her campaign?
Her campaign?
Medicare for all.
Yeah. How's she going to pay for all these things she's wanting to do? She's wanting to take the money away from the rich.
Well, she won't answer the question straight out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it says right here, there's not enough money to pay for her promises.
Mm-hmm.
So how's she going to do this? She never says how she's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, she's told some of it. What she said she's definitely in favor of is this wealth tax. There's no question about that.
Okay.
Is that constitutional?
I don't know.
It's not.
Well,
it's wealth, frankly. It's not income.
As soon as you get
so we should tax
the Supreme Court. You'll be able to weigh in on that.
We should tax the tax.
Franklin, how long can you tax wealth?
You could tax it forever, theoretically.
It'll go away. You can't tax it forever, Franklin. Wealth is a finite amount.
Okay.
You can't tax it.
Okay.
If you have $100 and I take $5 away out of that 100 every year, eventually you don't have $100 anymore. You don't have anything anymore.
That's not what's happening, John, is it?
Franklin, you all will destroy the country.
Yeah, right, John. Right now, here's a fact. 3 people in America have more wealth than the bottom 50%.
So what? I don't care. Those
exactly.
Those three people in America have made everybody's life in America better.
How many employees do they have working for? How many employees do they have working for?
A lot.
Well, then, how much taxes are paid by the employees they provide? The jobs.
Not as much as those people should.
What's happened with the minimum wage, Franklin?
They should be paying more.
Guess what happened with Target? Target several years ago said they were going to increase their minimum wage to $15. What we've now found from their employees is their hours are scaled back. As they got higher wages, they actually got a lower take-home pay because you can't intervene like this in the market and force things.
I talked about this last week. I don't have my notes on it today, but the wealth tax that was put on before, on boats, planes.
It devastated the industry, and it didn't bring in
That's
any.
not what she's proposing.
It is what she's.
No,
it's a wealth tax,
It's
frankly.
a wealth tax.
It's not put on boats and planes.
But
Yes, it is.
it was the same idea. Instead of saying we're going to tax, well, wait a minute, Franklin, is the ownership of a boat, does it have a value?
Yes. The boat.
Is it
It's not value-added tax.
No,
It's a
no, no.
different
Listen
thing.
to me.
What
Listen
about
to
the
me.
ship makers
All
when
right,
they
if you
lose their
own
jobs?
a $10 million boat, is that added in as part of your wealth?
What about that private airplane when they lose their job?
Yes.
They can't make
Exactly.
them anymore.
Is it?
They can't make the yachts anymore.
Is the boat added in as your wealth? Then it's a tax. And this was the same thing. They taxed that boat. So they, instead of taxing all your wealth like she wants to do, they taxed part of your wealth. And you know what she did? She devastated that industry.
Here's what we also know now. The people in the top 0.1% are now paying a lower total tax rate than the people in the bottom 50%.
They
now.
pay almost, the top percent pay like 90% of all
lower
taxes paid.
rate.
Frankly, if
A
you're going to go
lower
down that
rate.
road, you're in dangerous territory.
I'm
Because
not
what
in
do the
dangerous
bottom
territory at all.
what do the bottom 50% pay?
Most
nothing.
Most of those people at the top acknowledge that they're undertaxed.
What's happened to the middle class under this president?
It has marginally expanded.
All right, there's new data. Let me read it to you.
Marginally.
All right, let's read marginally for you.
Way below where
when they vote, they're not going to get it.
Let me read marginally to you, okay? According to Census Bureau data, the median average income family has seen a gain of $5,003 since Trump came into office. Median family income is $65,976, up from $61,000 when he entered office. Under George W. Bush, in 8 years, they saw a little over $400 increase. Under Obama, in 8 years, they saw $1,043. Under Trump, in 3 years, they've seen $5,000, and that's not counting the additional $2,500 that the tax cut gave every family. So middle-class families have seen $7,500 increase in their median wage under this president in 3 years.
All right, I'm going to change.
But of course, that's census data, so I'm sure you'll say we lied.
I'm going to change the subject a little bit, and we're almost out of time. But California Governor Gavin Newsom handed a win to the cannabis industry over the weekend when he signed a law allowing marijuana businesses to claim state tax deductions. California's burgeoning legal cannabis industry has plenty of advantages in attracting customers with storefront locations and state-mandated health testing that provides buyers some insurance that products are safe.
So a product that is more cancerous than cigarettes, that is intoxicating, is somehow being deemed safe by the California
Well, they're going
government.
to have a state health testing. They're going to, in other words, the state's going to make some more money.
Intoxicant be considered safe in any way, shape, or form?
Well, ask California, John. How do you think they're going to do it? But the industry in general still cannot access commercial banks and its customers pay taxes and fees that black market sellers don't charge.
That's federal regulations.
So I'll put this challenge out to people. So the California government is saying that this is safe. They're going to certify that it's safe. Folks, look at the last 10 things that you bought from Amazon, and specifically look at things you're never going to eat, and see if they don't have a label that this has been labeled as dangerous and cancerous by the state of California. So something you'll never eat has to have a damn label that it's not safe for you, but marijuana they're going to certify as safe.
Here's something that happened out of Florida, and we can end on this. I thought this was pretty funny, really. Deputies asked a man to quit calling about his stolen marijuana. Authorities say a Florida man repeatedly called 911 to report his roommate had stolen his pot.
There you go.
Well, the state of California is not going to arrest him, so I'm sure he felt safe in doing that.
Oh, well, I guess.
Was that Florida? Yeah. That's the state where 8-year-olds have now been put on the red flag law in Florida.
Oh, here's something I meant to say last week. Virginia teacher sues school after being fired for not using the transgender students' pronouns.
Of course.
What in the world is this world coming to, Franklin? How do you think this is all going to come out?
How do you feel about Title IX in athletics? because this transgender movement is going to destroy it in a matter of a year or two. So 50 years of gains for women will be destroyed by you all's liberal, let's let everybody do whatever they want attitude. 50 years, Franklin, of advancement.
Let me ask this last question. What do you think, Joe? Why do you think Joe Biden's son was asked to be on that board? I just want to get that as a question.
Oh, I think because Joe Biden was vice president.
And he was over there pushing them to do more natural gas.
Do you believe that Joe Biden never talked to his son about that?
I have no idea about that.
Okay.
But you believe that.
So when he played golf with his son and one of the Burisma executives, you don't think anything came up? But here's the problem, Franklin. One, his son has contradicted his father on it. He said they did talk about it. Two, at one point the defense was that it was actually cleared by the Obama White House. How the hell do you clear something without talking to the vice president about it?
What do you think about somebody on the private payroll of the president of the United States conducting American foreign policy? As opposed to outside his own appointed
politically,
advisor.
I don't think it was smart business, but I don't think it was anything illegal, Franklin. He wasn't officially doing anything.
If you'd been investigated for 3 years with this witch hunt that's going on, how would you handle it, Franklin?
Franklin, you all mentioned impeachment the day after the election.
I wouldn't have done something this week that was exactly what Vladimir Putin wanted you to do, which he did.
Franklin, he's put more sanctions on Russia.
Well, the Congress has put more sanctions on them.
The White House has put heavier sanctions than Obama ever did.
But here's the thing, John. What Putin really cares about are other things more than sanctions.
Franklin,
if you think Vladimir Putin's driven by money, you're mistaken.
Money in the economy, Franklin, which destroys his country.
All I know is right now we just increased Russia and Iran's influence in the Middle East, which I thought was against our policy.
I don't disagree on. I don't like the Syria pullout, Franklin. I don't disagree with you on that. I didn't like it when Obama pulled out of Afghanistan.
And I think the idea.
But you know what? I didn't accuse
any ally is going to trust us now is really questionable.
Franklin, well, that same thing was said about Obama. I think they both made the same mistake. But guess what? This was actually a bipartisan move. People on your side and people on our side want us out of these countries.
Nobody thought it should be done that way. Nobody.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, the Trump impeachment. The hearings will be a big show for TV news. Everybody just stay tuned and watch the lies. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening